Welcome to Binge Theory, the coolest corner on the internet. We are back. We were away for a while. We were caught in another timeline, in another dimension, watching Loki at 3 o'clock in the morning like madmen. But we are back. It is Julian and Logan. I was going to say Loki. I was about to call you Loki. And we were so glad to be back. Kenny may be joining us in a little bit. He's got some family duties. You know how that is. But Logan, how you been?
Enjoying getting some sleep and not having to get up in the middle of the night. But if there was anything worth doing it for, Loki was worth doing it for.
Absolutely,
pretty good.
It was a great experience doing the as it drops Loki episodes, all 6 of them at 3 a.m. Eastern. If we were in California, we could just do it at midnight like a normal maniac. But no, we. And again, I kind of dug the insomnia aspect of it because we did have some interesting people jumping on at 3 o'clock in the morning from all over the world.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe when the next Marvel worthwhile series comes out, we can look and maybe doing that again.
Maybe Hawkeye.
Now let me ask you, are you excited about Hawkeye? Let's talk about it.
I am a little bit, actually. I love Haley Steinfeld. I'm excited to see what she can do in a more kind of, I've never seen her in a serious active role like that. I actually know her more from Pitch Perfect and those movies.
Really?
And I love her just, personality and screen presence in that. So to see, if she can translate that to, action superstar kind of thing, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
It's funny that you should say Pitch Perfect. I never saw her in Pitch Perfect. I think I made it halfway through the first one.
She was only in 2 and 3.
Oh, well, I never even close that. I was never even in the ballpark. However, if you want to see Haley Steinfeld at her best, True Grit with Jeff Bridges.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that.
It's the remake of the John Wayne film, starring Jeff Bridges. Matt Damon's in it. Josh Brolin's in it. And it is, it's Coen Brothers, I believe.
Oh, sure.
Beautifully written. The dialogue just jumps off. It dances around the screen because they speak in such a literal sense. And it's that old American English where everything, there is no nuance to what they're saying. They're very matter-of-factly. And it's very, it's oddly articulate for people that are on the frontier.
Okay.
It's not like Cockney. It's more like Shakespearean in the dirt, if you will. But I definitely recommend it. Matter of fact,
I'll pick that out.
That could be a watch along.
That could be. That could be a good one.
For those out there, we have been exploring a new process of viewing entertainment. Utilizing the service Scener, SCENER.com. Now, if you go there and you download the extension to your Chrome browser, it has to be on your desktop. It cannot be on your mobile. But if you add that extension to your Chrome browser, you can watch movies, episodes, YouTube music videos with us real time. So we'll be in complete sync. It won't be like some of the other watch-alongs where you have to watch it on your own and kind of marry it up to what we're doing. We will all be, viewing it simultaneously through the Scener platform. Again, that is SCENER.com. And if you go to Scener.com/binge theory, that is where you will find our schedule for all of the watch-alongs we're doing. It's been a lot of fun. So, let's see if we can start something there and get a little bit of a following.
That'll be fun.
Absolutely. No, it's been a blast. And maybe we can start doing some special parties for our Patreon subscribers, but we'll evolve into that. No need to start putting that out just yet. All right. While we're waiting on Kenny, we might as well. Well, let's just not wait for Kenny because planning the schedule around what he may be doing with the kids right now. I mean, he could be up. You know what? Speak of the devil, and there he is. There he is.
There I is.
Hey, Kenny. Now,
there we go.
Now, just so everybody can be clear, we are not sponsored by Mercedes-Benz. We are not paid by. We are not affiliated with them. However, I do like the hat.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it ties into a later segment. So
I was going to say that I see what you're doing, and I like it. You're right on time. We were just talking about how we had a lot of fun doing the Loki episodes. Seen her, the app. We're going to be doing all that. Tons of fun stuff, and we're all back. We're back doing the live show. Not just the Lokis, but we're going to be touching on all bases. So that being started,
in case Logan didn't already, I got to give you a lot of credit because you both were amazing. Like I don't know how y'all did it, but the episodes y'all did, man, 3 and 4 in the morning East Coast time, I couldn't do it. But cheers. Copious amounts of coffee and a little bit of free time. You can do anything.
You can do anything. But again, we'll get you there. We'll get you there when your kids are 20, and and there's the new episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 20. We'll all watch it as it drops live. But anyway, thank you, good sir. No, we had a blast, and hopefully that'll be like the new thing. We're ahead of the curve on that technology. So that being said, let's jump into the show. Well, we've been looking at some topics, and I wanted to right off the top, there's something that it happened a few days ago, but since we're just getting back into the show, I want to bring up Nicolas Cage. Woe is us in the entertainment industry because Nicolas Cage was going to regale us with his Nick-like skills in portraying the Tiger King. He was. There was going to be a Tiger King movie. Unfortunately, that movie is now no longer going to happen. They pulled it, and to be honest, they just missed the window because even Nicolas Cage in an interview had stated that we were really excited about it. We thought we could really go and make some, really interesting, comments on what had gone on at this moment in history. But it just took time to get everything together, and now it's old. It's so dated because Tiger King was such an iconic moment. To go back there, it almost seems, pointless. So, Kenny, you had reacted. Did you know about the Tiger King movie coming out?
Oh, I didn't. Honestly, that's why I laughed. That was genuine because I had no idea that they were even doing a movie, let alone that Nicolas Cage was gonna portray the Tiger King. That is just awesome.
It was a thing.
I'm sad now that we're going to miss out on this.
Yeah, and trust me, if anybody could have made that work, I think Nicolas Cage would have been able to stick the landing, so to speak. He is so hit and miss. He is so. Again, I will say
the good thing about this is that it wouldn't have mattered if he hit it or missed it. It would have come out the same.
Exactly.
It would have been something. It would have been an event. Yes. I would have seen it. Whether it's the Wright brothers taking off, or for lack of a better expression, the Hindenburg going down. It would have been something to see. And Nicolas Cage, if he's full Nicolas Cage, you're in for a show either way. So poor us because we don't get to see the Tiger King movie starring Nicolas Cage. Quick question: what is your favorite Nicolas Cage movie? Kenny, go.
Oh, that's tough. It's a tie. I have a top 3.
Okay.
And it's a tie between the 3. The Rock with
Sean Connery, yeah.
What's this? Him and John Travolta. Face Off. And number 3 is Gone in 60 Seconds. There's my
That's
top
a good
three
one
Nicolas
too.
Cage.
So that is like early 2000 Nicolas Cage. So yeah, that was his action movie role before he went broke and he had to go doing indie films. So yeah, no, Logan, what about you?
The ones coming to mind first and foremost right now, The Rock is certainly a really good one. Like you can't go wrong with that anytime. But I'm halfway between Con Air.
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah. And was it Knowing? Was that
he can see like 2 minutes into the future?
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was a really cool premise that could have gone more places if it hit now when you're doing the whole kind of world building, make a franchise type aspect of it. Like that whole concept could have gone in some very interesting directions.
Was Knowing the one where he saw into the future like 2 minutes, or was that the one where he saw the end of he figured out the end of the world was about to happen?
I thought that was the one 2 minutes in the future, but at least that's the one that I'm thinking of. I may have the title wrong.
Well, I remember one scene in The Knowing where he had seen like a plane crash, and it was one of the most. It was one of the most visually arresting scenes I'd seen because, you don't really see plane crashes from the ground view. You usually see it from the plane or the air, and it was like just a low flying overhead crashing right in front of you. I'd never really seen that portrayed in cinema before. The only other thing similar to that I've seen is Flight Plan with Denzel Washington.
Ah, okay.
When he rolled the plane. That's all I can remember.
Yeah, Knowing. I just looked it up. Knowing is the one where he kind of, like Julian said, he saw the plane crash and then he deciphered this code and figured out that the end of the world was about to happen, but that there was a way to save. He thought it was like a way to save themselves, and it was more like saving his son.
So it's Next is the one I'm thinking of then.
Next is the one
you can see. So I mixed those up. It was Next that I was specifically thinking of.
Well, to be fair, he's been in a
really
lot
awesome concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Final Destination.
In a way, yeah.
So I will tell you my two favorite Nicolas Cage films. First one is Leaving Las Vegas. That one, he portrayed somebody, for those who haven't seen it, he portrays somebody who is in the throes of alcoholism who decides to end it all with one last hoorah in Las Vegas, and where he encounters Elizabeth Shue, who is a lady of the night, I guess you might call it, and they have this relationship, but it's very flawed on many levels because he's literally trying to kill himself, and she's trying to love him, and he loves her, but in a "I'm going to love you while I'm walking out the door" kind of way, and beautifully. Beautiful movie, and I recommend you see it. It's sad though. Now another one that I like, since Kenny did three, I'm going to do two. This is kind of a recent one that just came out. It's called Mandy, and the reason I like that is, the premise is insane. It's just. But the visuals and the palette is like something I had never seen before outside of a music video in the 80s. It had just, the sci-fi retro neon, lighting setups, very beautifully shot. And the premise of that was that he was a lumberjack living in the woods with his love, and then this cult comes across them, and some bad stuff happens, and it's basically a very interesting film. I don't want to spoil it for you. You should see it. It's an interesting film. Anyway, that's that.
I just saw it and I forgot that he was in, or that he did a voice for Spider-Man. Spider-Verse. He was the noir.
Yeah,
is correct.
Spider-Man Noir.
and I really liked it.
Yeah. No, he was great in that. Everywhere I go, it's night, and the night smells like rain. Or whatever that line he did was.
It was awesome.
It was, and I'm surprised because he was kind of such a ancillary character, kind of on the side. He didn't really have a lot of lines, but the ones he did stuck.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I dug that.
And
very cool.
To see if any of them show up in a real life version of the next Spider-Man. If you're already pulling together Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, it's not a stretch to throw some cameos of some other Spider-Men in there.
Yeah, if everybody's going to be in it, then let's throw everybody in there.
Yeah,
that would be great if they just actually recreated a scene of them all, I think we're all talking and doing their Spider-Man planning, just to do a live action scene of all of that. Could you imagine?
That one of my favorite parts of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the little nod they did with the alternate universe Spider-Man, the fat Spider-Man, where he did the dancing from Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. I like that kind of stuff.
That's
so if they decide to bring in a bunch of Spider-Men for No Way Home, I would absolutely love them to do a nod to Into the Spider-Verse where they're all getting together doing their spider planning, and that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Only if at the end they have the Spider-Man in the alley pointing at each other, like they did.
You could also do a post-credit Spider-Pig.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Well, why don't they just do it live action like they did Howard the Duck? Or
yes,
yeah, that would be something. That would be either. Again, we're talking Nicolas Cage territory. That would be amazing. Amazingly good or amazingly bad. Well, let awesome side discussion. Let's get back on track because we got a lot. We got a lot of time and very little to do. Wait a second, reverse that. That's a Willy Wonka reference for those who got that. Yes, thank you. Okay, Denis Villeneuve has just released some images and a trailer for the movie Dune. Now, I'm going to go ahead and scroll through some of these wonderful images, and we can comment as we see them. We got Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin. And one of the things I noticed in these posters, everybody is just scarred. They have scars. Everybody's got scars on scars. But
rough universe.
It is a harsh world. And the trailer was very good. Kenny, did you see the trailer by any chance?
I have not got to watch the trailer. I've seen the posters and the images. So, but I'm gonna probably get hated on. I have actually never saw the original Dune.
No, but I mean that's a very specific audience too. I mean, I saw it just because I didn't know any better, and I was a big sci-fi geek at the time. Never read the novel.
I've seen both of them and read it.
Now, when you're saying both of them, are you talking about
the Sci-Fi Channel version from the mid 2000s? I think late 2000s. Because they did a Dune and a Children of Dune. They actually did that one as well as kind of a sci-fi made-for-cable movie event kind of thing.
Well, you know what? This is coming out on HBO Max, and we could watch it live with our beautiful fans.
We could.
Yes. And Kenny, that way you can see it, and enjoy it with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, Denis Villeneuve can do no wrong in my mind. That ever since he did Sicario, I've been on board with everything he's ever made. And then, of course, Blade Runner 2049, which visually, again, making a sci-fi noir is hard, but he pulled it off, where it was just the right balance of, exposition, dialogue, and action. A little light on the action, but it still had some pretty good action scenes.
Well, you want to get in on the hate? I haven't seen Blade Runner or Blade Runner 2049.
What? Oh, okay. Everybody send your hate emails to us on our Facebook page.
I'll give you one. I bet I can one-up you, Logan.
All right.
I haven't seen them, and I own them both.
Ha! You got me there.
What somebody got it for you?
They're in my Apple. They're in my Apple TV library, and I own both of them. I got them on a deal, and I just haven't watched them.
Yep.
I'm so horrible.
Someday there'll be time, and you can just sit there and watch. It'll be like Burgess Meredith in the Twilight Zone.
Yes.
You
just
finally
don't break your glasses.
That's when the internet will go out.
Yeah. I have all the time. Catastrophic internet failure.
Yes. Kenny, back in the day, they had a show called The Twilight Zone, and
I know what The Twilight Zone is.
I'm not the movie, not the one.
I know the original black and white Twilight Zone.
Yes. Did you ever see the show?
A couple of times, because that was my grandmother was into all that. So anytime I stayed with her, she she would have all that.
Did you ever see the movie?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember.
It was good. It took a lot. It basically did the stories from the old series, but made them into like little cinematic vignettes. So it was good, kind of like Creepshow.
Yeah,
it was. Anyway, let's stay on target, as Luke would say. Okay, so yeah, we got Josh Brolin, and we got Oscar Isaac. A scene shot, but we're going to look at some of the actual posters, which have a little more detailed view of each of these characters. Okay. All right, so we got and this is really interesting. Now, Logan, you help me out on this, because is this a remake of the one that Lynch did, or is this like a different timeline, a different generation?
My understanding is it's another take on the original novel. So they're pulling from that source material, not necessarily remaking the movie material.
But it's the same time, the same characters for the most part.
The same general characters.
Okay.
I think they did mention they might be going, pulling characters from some of the other books in the series to kind of lead into potential sequels or prequels or things as that may happen. But yeah, for the most part, it's the main content.
Gotcha. Because in this one we have I'm just going to blow it up full screen. We got Stellan Skarsgård, and he's playing the Baron. And I saw like some set photos where he was very large. Like they gave him. You can tell they have the prosthetics on him and everything. And also Rebecca Ferguson is playing Lady Jessica. And actually, let me put it back this way. And so those are some of those characters. Let me get some other ones here. Now, I do not know Dr. Yu. Is that a? Oh, look, Kenny's got a little one.
I do.
There you go. Now,
sorry.
It's been. We're probably talking 15 years since I've seen them, so I'm a hair rusty. No, it's going to have to be longer than that, actually. 2004, 2005, so yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I remember a scene in the trailer where they were doing almost similar to Palm Sunday, where you do the mark on the forehead. But I don't know if that is tied into him and his, essentially diamond third eye that he has going on there. But it again, cinematically, it looked. I recommend you guys see the trailer. And of course, we have Timothée Chalamet, who is Paul Muad'Dib, the chosen one. And it's Timothée Chalamet. He's going to do what he does. Now here we go. Here we go. I love Jason Momoa already had a scar on his eyebrow, so they just added to
Continued it.
Yeah, just let's just extend it.
And really, it's like you need to make him look more badass.
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Exactly. If they were doing a new casting, I would we'll do a what do you call it? A fan casting session here. I would make him the new Sabretooth. If you were going to do a new
going back to X-Men.
Yeah, if they were going to do like a new Wolverine, I would make him Sabretooth.
Who's his Wolverine though?
Timothy Chalamet. I don't know. It'd have to be.
No. Wolverine has to be like somebody beefy but that also has hair, and can pull off.
Well, it depends if you're going comic. Are you going comic accurate, or because Hugh Jackman was against type, because he's kind of smooth.
Yeah. I loved Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine. Man, he owned it.
Let's not forget though, the internet hated him. Well, what was of the internet back
before
in those
they
days.
saw him.
Yeah. Well, because again, everybody was like, no, Wolverine's like 5 feet tall, if that. And, and plus Jackman wasn't Jackman. He was just a guy that kind of lifted weights a little bit. Yep. And he even said in an interview, he didn't start lifting weights till 4 weeks before the shoot.
Yeah.
So, because he thought he could just get in shape real quick. And
he just got bigger each movie.
Yeah. Oh, geez. By the time
you were crazy each movie.
By the time you reached the Wolverine, it was almost like a different guy.
Yeah.
Because he was doing like the diet and the whole, Now, I'm not familiar with Zendaya's character, Shani. Was she portrayed in the first one, Logan?
I don't recall.
Yeah. Interesting to see. I mean, I like Zendaya. So we'll see, how her character contributes. And I think she's kind of like I don't want to say the romantic connection to Timothy Chalamet, but they do have some dialogue that seems a little, save me Obi-Wan kind of a thing. And of course, like I said, Oscar Isaac, he plays Duke Leto, no relation to Jared Leto. And of course, I was surprised. I did not know that Javier Bardem was in this. And I remember when I first saw this image, I was like, that guy looks so familiar. And then, you see the name in small font. Yeah, Javier Bardem. And again, love the fact that he's in a movie with Josh Brolin. We're getting the No Country for Old Men cast back together. And yeah, there's Josh Brolin, all scarred up, because you got to ugly up that leading man look.
Yeah,
because he's absolutely handsome. You got to ugly that up.
Exactly. You got to make him look tough. I mean, they did the same thing for what was it, Deadpool 2 when he played
Cable.
Yeah. Good scar work too. I mean, that's just good effects.
Your pictures look good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with Sharon Duncan Brewster as Liet Kynes, but she looks formidable. So, and she's got the spice you can tell with her eyes. So, she's apparently on what's the name of the spice planet, Logan?
Is that Arrakis?
Arrakis. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we got. I do only because of the veil does she look familiar. She's like the older, that older woman that was testing Paul Muad'Dib with the box. Where you put your hand in the box. This is Reverend Mother Mohammed. So, yeah, the Reverend Mother, and I'm not familiar with Charlotte Rampling. Oh well. Now I've seen Stephen McKinley Henderson before in other, he's like a Broadway actor, great actor. But I'm not familiar with Thuffer Hall. I can't even pronounce the name. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it almost seems like they're pairing a known character with a lesser known one.
Could be.
I mean, maybe it's just coincidence with us, but
Well, what are you saying? Pairing them? What?
Just the way, kind of like in order of however we've kind of pulled them. Like,
oh, that's me.
That's you, right? But in the sequential order, obviously they were listed.
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah, I think they are balanced together. They're
right. Exactly.
Something new. And again, obviously, this is not the late '80s or early '90s whenever the Lynch Dune came out. But this is a much more diverse cast. There's a little more representation here than I don't know if there was any people of color in that desert planet, which again, that's always amazing. We got Dave Bautista in here, and I'm so glad that Bautista's getting strong A-list work because he is a good actor for his range. You know, for what he can do, he pulls it off well. I mean, I liked him in the short part he had in Blade Runner 2049, and not so much in the zombie one. You know, that was kind of an empty shell of a performance, but it was empty shell of a character. Yeah, no, he and of course his Drax comedic timing is pretty good. So I'll give him that. Now, David Desmaclian. I don't know that name. And I'm trying to think if he is somebody I should know.
I feel like he is. I don't know.
Is he the guy that's been in a lot of movies? Was he like in The Dark Knight Returns as the schizophrenic that Two-Face was kind of torturing with the coin? And he's also in the new Suicide Squad as the Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, he's definitely the Polka Dot Man.
But, you know, he has like the straight black hair. And are you looking it up now?
I am, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. If he is the Polka Dot Man, then he was in the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, he was Joker's thug.
Yeah,
he was the guy that had I think Rachel Dawson on his not Rachel Dawson. Rachel on his name tag. He was there when they were shooting at Commissioner Gordon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joker's thug. Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I actually remember him from. He was in an episode of The Flash.
Yep. Never watched that series.
Yeah, he was Abracadabra, I think.
Yeah. All right, so he's
apparently he was in MacGyver for a bunch of episodes as a reoccurring character. The new MacGyver, not the old one.
I was gonna say the new one, right?
The new one, yes.
I did not know there was a new one. Excellent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Still is? I think it's still going, isn't it?
Yeah. You would think that you'd think in this modern age he could evolve beyond paper clips and bubble gum to get himself out of situations. Does he use like a smartphone?
I actually haven't watched the new one.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to want to muddy the memory of Richard Dean Anderson.
Yes, I did see an old clip on the internet where it had him guest appearing on the Saturday Night Live MacGruber.
Yes.
He played his dad, and it was just hilarious. Okay, back on target. Yes, so these characters are here. Let me see. Do we have any more? Oh, no, we don't. We are going to wrap that segment up, and let's move on to our next topic, which is titled Billionaires in Space. And yes, let's talk about how you're not going to space, but they are. And that's all you need to know. And again, don't get me wrong. Let's start off with the simple facts of this. We have in the past few weeks, we've had two people journey into space. Let's see. The first one is Richard Branson. He went into space, and then we had Jeff Bezos. It was right on his heels. There was a little bit of let's just say one-upsmanship. I think people from the Bezos camp was saying, well, Branson didn't really go into space. He was kind of in suborbit. And it's a measuring contest, literally. And but anyway, Branson went up in a plane. He flew a plane that was attached, dropped, and then shot up into the stratosphere and hovered around for 90 seconds. He floated in the air and then came back down. Mm-hmm. And Bezos got on top of a very phallic-looking rocket and shot straight up into space.
Yeah.
Floated around for 190 seconds and then came back down.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts? Kenny, you're tech savvy. What were your thoughts on both of these endeavors? Which did you prefer?
So I'm all about what can we do in space? What gets us to space? But I'm a big fan of Richard Branson. The stuff he's done, I think is, he tries to find interesting ways to innovate things. There's a reason that there's a Virgin, I think it's a Virgin Galactic plane at the Air and Space Museum, right out here in at Dulles Airport in Virginia. There's a reason that his aircraft is in there. He's doing great things. Granted, it's still like you said, it's billionaires in space, right? Like us normal folks are peons, so to speak. We are not there yet. But I am excited to see where they take this. So good. I did get a good laugh at Bezos's ship. Yeah. I mean, of the many designs that you could have picked for a ship to get into orbit, I feel like you could have gone with something else, but maybe it was a statement, a self-reflection, It
was a Dr. Evil ripoff. We all know that.
I've seen the memes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, a shaved head billionaire going into space in a phallic rocket.
Wants a moon base.
Yeah, or next thing they'll be getting sharks with freaking lasers. Now, what is funny is, this is, I think, one of the differences I see. I mean, obviously, you can even see it by the picture here, because Bezos and his team were in a capsule, whereas Branson was in a supersonic plane, because they actually had to wear parachutes in case things went bad. They were jumping out. Bezos had no parachutes. If things went bad, he was basically texting people his last rites. So it is going to be I'm definitely I will say this, and this is my cynicism poking through. So yes, this is a technological mainstreaming of spaceflight. I mean, way down the road, of course, but that's what Branson was doing. It wasn't because he was trying to make this revolutionary technology work. He's going to sell tickets. He's going to basically make a millionaire mile high club, and he's going to make a lot of money on it, yada yada yada, starting off. But then the more that happens, the technology gets cheaper and more people end up going, and then it will be like what's that one airline where all of the fights break out and all of the people get drunk and refuse to wear masks? It's like the lowest tier airline.
Frontier, is that?
What's that?
It's not Frontier, is it?
No, but it's
Southwest.
No, it's I should have written it down, because it reminds me of the fact that down the line we'll have this beyond imaginable technology taking us to the stratosphere, and you're going to have people refusing to put their shoes on, putting their their feet up on other people's. And kids,
I don't want to wear the oxygen mask.
Exactly. But what are your thoughts, Logan? Do you think this is a useful endeavor, or is this just millionaires getting another trophy for their wall?
I'll say two things. One, I didn't even pay attention to this as it was happening, because I don't really care about the contest between company 2 and 3 in private sector in space. We've all already been watching company 1 for many years now, doing many more impressive and scientifically valuable things, actually advancing the science and capabilities of the country and the human race. So I didn't pay attention to it much for that reason. And no, I don't really think there's, to be honest, and I'm not saying this as an endorsement, but I think the winner between this pride or ego or measuring contest of these two is Elon Musk, because he didn't do that. And instead, he's actually focused on or had his company focused on, or somebody stopped him from, but he actually stopped or whatever from doing this exact same thing, and instead has been continually providing reliable service and reliable, scientific, or a reliable platform for launching scientific and humanitarian and, technological endeavors. So no, I think the only winner from this is SpaceX, who's continuing to do real work and not
I would also
play
add,
stunts.
I would also add Starlink.
Yeah, sure.
Good point. No, good point. Yeah, Elon.
Again, not an endorsement for him either, because he's got his own set of issues, as every billionaire does. But in this particular instance, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, he stayed out of it, which is quite the win for him.
Very much so.
To just shut up and let other people have the moment.
It really makes him, for coding, it makes him look the bigger man.
He did look the bigger man.
Yeah.
Well, I think with this whole exercise, so to speak, like Julian said, Branson is trying to find ways to sell tickets to fly people, up to space. Like I think of it like people that used to fly the Concorde, right, to and from
exactly
here to London or whatever.
The elite club.
Yep, that's essentially what it is. And then Bezos is just trying to one up. He's trying to find a way to one up Elon Musk, right? Except he's just not quite there. So I don't know that I would directly pit them against each other, because I think they're trying for different things.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree that SpaceX is the winner here. But if I had to pick between the two, I would say Branson won out, but we'll see what happens.
True. Unless Bezos starts delivering packages from space.
Yeah, that's
part of what
yeah, we'll take your package up to the stratosphere and then release it, and it'll float down here.
You put an Amazon warehouse in the moon, and you just shoot the package as the Earth spins through.
He'll bomb you with packages. Yeah, it'll be like.
But if either of them and either of their companies can add to the platform capabilities for launching scientific endeavors, or furthering technology and human progression and stuff like that, then in the end, this is just going to be an eye roll, or just going to be a footnote in the actual benefit that this kind of a private space race does have.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, the private sector advancing the technology and advancing the capabilities, the speed that they do and the speed that they are in this sort of area, is only going to be a larger benefit if it's used in that kind of an altruistic, for the good of all manner.
I agree with that.
Excellent point. The only thing, and again, I don't know this much about NASA, so forgive my ignorance on this, but when NASA, had Tang and Velcro and all these, gadgets that we reap the benefit of, were there patents on that? Did we have to wait or purchase it? I'm just curious if, there's some new technology. I seriously doubt that Bezos or Branson's going to give it to us for the benefit of society. There's going to be a price tag attached or something like that. And
my understanding, and this is very, very limited, is that if NASA develops that technology of any kind, that it's essentially developed by the American people. So no, I don't think that there's any kind of patent or money like that, which is a risk of so much of the innovation being put in the private sector, in being able to, like you said, patent it and price everybody else out of it, or something else.
Again, the man that wins in that one would be, again, Elon Musk, who took the Tesla code and put it out into the open source community for everyone to use, for developing their self-driving like vehicles and stuff. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's to me that says something.
Yeah, I guess the only way you could profit off of that if you built a infrastructure of roads and tunnels that those self-driving cars would utilize, and then you could charge for them. That's just that's the cynic in me, but could be anyway. Good stuff. Billionaires in space, raining down money on all of us.
That sounds like a new show, like Real Housewives of the moon base.
Well, it used to be on the Muppets. It was just called Pigs in Space, but this is Billionaires in Space.
Yeah,
and it must be nice to just say, you know what, I want to go to space, and then it happens. That is the ultimate access that way too much money has, and you know what, like you're saying, maybe Bezos will be able to build a base on the moon, and people can pass out and have to pee in a bag up there, as opposed to what they're doing down here. So, anyway, enough teasing. Let us talk about now. We've been away for a while. Logan and I were, on occasion, being able to watch the Loki series. So we just, we got to do at least a little commentary on Loki and how we felt about it. Now, Kenny, family man, were you able to see the Loki episodes eventually?
I have seen them all.
Excellent. Okay,
gotten all the way through season 1. So
there you go. So first of all, Logan and I have kind of been going hand in hand watching this. Kenny, what were your thoughts on Loki season 1?
I really enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little creeped out in the last episode when Loki and Sylvie kissed. I know it was like for her to make her move, but still, it was a little weird. But it goes with the show's theme, and I really loved the twist at the end when he finds Mobius and he's like, "Who are you?"
That was a good twist when she pushes him back to the TVA, but it's a different TVA altogether, and you're
push him into a branch,
and the guy,
Kang.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I had a brain fart at the end. That just, man, I don't know that actor, but
he was phenomenal.
Really,
really Jonathan Majors.
Role, like, I mean, just the eccentricities that from being alone for however long he had been there, and you just the little things like his character was so great.
I think what may also make that character really endearing is the fact that he's probably going to be the last time you see that character by that actor, because if from what they're saying is that all the other Kangs, the variant Kangs, are going to start popping up in the multiverse of madness, and I believe the Quantumania, the Ant-Man one, Quantumania, the Ant-Man one, and like he was saying at the end before Sylvie killed him, spoilers. He was saying, I'll see you soon, because he was, and I love the premise of it. I love the terminology of pruning, because that's literally what they were doing. It's almost like if you had a bonsai tree and you were sculpting the way you wanted it to grow, and that's what he was doing with the timeline. He just wanted it to be one timeline. He didn't want any variation. He wanted just one. So he basically made a religion around time, and all of his followers would basically, he said, okay, whenever something starts to diverge, erase it, and so he basically made his own bonsai club for time. And I remember, Logan, you and I were talking, and I said, I like how this is, definitely kind of a religion. And, because when not to harp too much on religion, but if you believe something, you don't really question the logic in it. It's just, it is what it is. And, that's why they really had these, diehard, and also I think their minds had been adjusted to some extent because they didn't remember who they were before they got there.
Right.
I think they kind of, wiped that out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm definitely curious to see all the new versions of Kang, because you're going to probably see Jonathan Majors in a much more aggressive manner than you last saw him. And I think that's going to be such a juxtaposition. You're going to be like, wow, what range. And in case you guys did not know, he was in Lovecraft Country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was the protagonist in Lovecraft Country. So love him. He's been doing amazing work. And I'm so glad that he was able to land on his feet in the Marvel Universe, because they canceled Lovecraft Country. So there you go.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Logan, any other thoughts on the Loki series you and I watched?
So I think the two things that really kind of left me with that series was one that Kenny just mentioned, and that the whole, what is the feeling and the perception of, the kiss at the end and kind of the relationship between quote unquote two Lokis. But I think it brings up a bigger, philosophical, existential question that I had never really considered before. That basically was just that, what makes a person in a multiversal kind of scenario and situation? Because obviously they don't have the same parents. They don't have the same genes. I guess you could start to argue, do they have the same soul or part of the same soul? And if it is actually, what is the root of that person then in that case? Or what defines a person? Like, there's some very interesting and fun philosophical questions about that kind of scenario I had never considered before. And I think would be fun to kind of, take a class or study group or book group and kind of dive into with, just to kind of see what comes out of that. Really, really interesting concept. And secondly, a little bit more grounded, what's kind of the take on, Loki as a series is a disappointment because it isn't actually about Loki. It's about moving the Marvel universe into the next couple phases, versus here's the event that Loki caused. He is the reason for why the next couple phases are happening. And that kind of, intellectual distinction of how you view the series and how you view what Tom Hiddleston was able to do with the character and the significance that he has, and whether or not you can look at the series as a whole and attribute that significance to him, or you roll your eyes and brush it off and get all frustrated and that, it's just the powers that be that made this all about Marvel and not about Loki, and this series wasn't about him and blah, blah, blah. And they're both right, but not.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting things to kind of think about, kind of in the grand scheme of this, shared universe, broader universe kind of creation that Marvel's been doing, and ones that I can't recall having had to think about before.
Yeah,
I do love time, and relativity and all that theory. I like thinking about it, getting frustrated and walking away. Because just when you think you get it, there's something else. And you're like, well, wait a second. If that's the case, then what about this? And what about, because, to your point about these other Lokis, what really hurts my brain is how, because, let's be frank. I always go by this. And I think I saw one series or movie that had a time thing. And let's just say, if time is diverging, and different things are going from different points. And again, just to use a crass origin point, let's say Loki's parents got together, out of 1 billion swimmers, a different swimmer goes there. Is that the same Loki? It's different. It's different materials. but what makes it a Loki? I mean, it could be had a different name, and what's to say that those parents would get together? Because the further you go back, I'm just trying to find the point that makes because you would think that literally from the first moment in time, everything would just start splintering off in different directions.
Yeah.
So how would you have two Lokis? Because it would be I would understand if there were like parallel universes, but even that hurts my head because I'm like,
exactly.
I mean, to be in the same time with the same characters, like having an alternate Avengers, they're all having the same powers, they're all coming together. That do they all have the same real estate? It's mind-boggling, but it's still entertaining.
Yeah.
But
that's the point. I think as long as it's entertaining, that's what matters.
Don't get me wrong, they got my money. It is what it is, but
they executed very well.
True, and it was a very Luke and Leia moment when they kissed. I'll give them that. It was very. Yeah.
But I find it fascinating is why we think that
Luke and Leia didn't know they were related.
and no, Logan is
they're
right.
not related. Why do we feel this way? Like that whole philosophical question really intrigues me. And I don't know where to kind of explore that deeper, but why do we feel that way? They shared the same name because they had the same powers? Like, what is that core element that defines a person? Because they don't have the same parents. She's not an ice giant. Because remember, Loki is from Jotunheim. He is not a human.
And
he's not
he's not
and we don't have the feeling that Crocodile Loki is somehow the brother of Retro Loki. I mean, they just they're like different versions of it's like different actors playing the same
It's not
role.
like him and Richard E. Grant are him talking to himself.
Exactly.
Not even close.
Mm-hmm.
So why does that get to us? Like, it's so fascinating, and I would love to find the college that's going to write the course on that kind of stuff, because I would love to explore that more.
It would probably be in a philosophy course.
Oh, totally. It's absolutely
a
hugely philosophical question.
I got a good friend. He loves these kinds of philosophical questions. And now that you've brought it up, I'm gonna have to reach out to him now and say, hey, have you seen this? And
I would love to hear what he thinks.
I bet this is something he would love to to discuss. So.
Yeah, cool stuff.
It is a head scratcher. Yes, it's okay to love yourself. Just don't love yourself. and that being said, let us move on to our next topic. Kenny, you are a gamer, correct, sir?
Sure.
You're under an internet oath, Kenny. Are you a gamer?
Yes.
Okay. That being said, good sir, take us away on what is happening new in the gaming world.
Oh, yes. So that's where my hat comes in. So the 16th of July, F1 2021, the game was released. And there was a lot of questions around this year because this past, I think, last summer or last fall, EA had basically announced that they were buying Codemasters, and Codemasters are the developer of F1 2020 or F1, the games. They have the exclusive license. They were developers. And so there was a lot of questions about what was going to happen with this year's game. How much was EA going to influence it? Was it going to tank? Was it going to go down the drain like a lot of other EA products? It's actually pleasantly surprising. So I had bought the deluxe version, so I got it a few days early. I have been holding off on playing too much because I told you guys I wanted to, make some binge theory content, with the game. But it's nice. They added a whole new element to it this year, which is like a story mode where they brought in like a professional CGI studio to make these game cutscenes so that you're put into a scenario and you have to achieve a goal or make a decision, and then that affects the story mode. And I will say the story is mostly linear, so there's that, and it's only about a total of like 6 to 8 hours max to play through the story mode. It's not very long, but this is their first foray into that. And I actually have to say, like, they executed the story mode for what it is very well. Like the protagonist, it's, I don't want to spoil too much, but you really start to like characters, you hate certain characters, and then you learn like, oh, I liked this character. Now he kind of seems like he might be the issue. And you like the, and they did really well. I, of course, my hat is for Mercedes AMG Petronas team, which is in Formula One.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah. And so that's why I was repping this tonight. But yeah, it's a fantastic game. I recommend anybody that's into Formula One or racing games in general, check it out. If you are on PlayStation 5 with the new DualSense controllers, the adaptive triggers are amazing, in my opinion. So for those that don't know, with the PlayStation 5, they came out with these adaptive triggers so that you can make very minuscule movements and get reactions. So like if you're hitting on the game, if you squeeze the trigger hard, in the game you're basically gunning it. So what happens is your car spins out. So you have to gradually get on the trigger, but the force feedback in the adaptive triggers helps you understand, like, okay, I pressed it a little hard, and you can actually, it's almost like you could feel the car losing grip on the track, and you can catch yourself.
Interesting.
You can, if you squeeze the brakes too hard and it locks up, you can, the feedback in the controller, vibrates as if you were, locking your brakes and kind of jutting with the car.
Cavitating, yeah.
Yeah, and I was pleasantly surprised.
We're gonna have to start up our Binge Theory Gaming and our BT Gaming and do that. Logan, are you a racer in gaming, or have you ever done that?
So the only racing game I've ever had was NASCAR 2000.
Wow!
Literally back in 2000.
I was gonna say, when did that come out?
I think it maxed out at like 800 by 600, maybe. And Dale Earnhardt was still alive, and he was still the car to drive. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, it's been a while.
So I was wrong though. They added more than just the story mode. So for F1 2020, they had two kind of career modes. One is just you sign on as a driver of an already existing team, and then you progress through a career. And you can, as you move through, you can try to sign a contract with a different team, sign on to a better team, what have you. The other one is called My Team, which was a brand new for 2020, and that's where you are basically the owner driver for a brand new F1 team, and you basically build the team from the ground up. You design the car, you pick your other driver, and you build a career over it.
That's the word, career mode. Yeah, because I know there's a story mode, but a career mode is what I'm used to. Yeah.
So the other thing they added this year as a career mode it was called 2-player co-op. So what they've done is you can now partner with a friend online, and you can race, together or against each other in a career mode. So you guys can you and your friend can join, the same team, or you can each race for 2 different teams and race and basically compete against each other in a career. And that was something that was pretty unique and new. And it's been a big hit so far. And then of course they all their online, sessions that were existed. But I was going to add that what made the story mode pretty good is they brought a character back that was in F1 2019. So in F1 2019, when you did the career mode, you could start in Formula 2, and you raced against this kind of a D-bag driver named Devin Butler, and very much like it was the kind of loudmouth that you wanted to just hit, right? You just did not like him, and that wasn't included in F1 2020. They didn't have that, but they brought him back and put him in the story mode for F1 2021, and I'm telling you, he makes a good character. Like they did it really well. I won't spoil it. My plan is to make some content around this and share with our viewers.
Cool.
I think we lost you.
Oop, we lost your audio, Julian.
That was me. Yeah, sorry about that. That sounds like a great extension to our binge theory family. Awesome stuff. You know what? And speaking of gaming news, we can also go into another topic regarding gaming that Logan has for us. Logan, tell us about robots and why they are bad.
So this one was interesting. I kind of came across this randomly, and apparently J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot company, division, organization has a video games division, and it just closed I think almost $40 million in new funding. I didn't even realize. I guess this was back in 2018 they kind of started it, and I'm not entirely sure what they're doing with it. I haven't seen any, and again, I'm not particularly versed in the gaming world, but I haven't seen any, Bad Robot games announced or anything kind of coming. So I'm not sure what they're planning on doing with it, or if they're kind of setting it up as maybe an option for kind of expanding the world of upcoming, movies or shows that Bad Robot is bringing to the screen. Another kind of player in the space that has some name recognition generally, and I didn't realize was getting into that too.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it might as well, take that up. I'm wondering if he's going to do like retro gaming, kind of, because he has revitalized, obviously, Star Trek and Star Wars to a certain extent.
Star Trek has Star Trek Online right now, and to my understanding, that's not, anything Bad Robot related. No. Though, to be fair, while I think there is some, I don't know if there's any J.J. Abrams universe playable content. They focused mostly on, I know they just added a Discovery package, and they've had certainly, next gen and some of the older kind of regular stuff. So maybe they don't have the, either rights or rights yet, or maybe they're working with Bad Robot for a future expansion into the Kelvin universe, if you will, of Star Trek. I don't know. So I haven't seen anything in Star Trek, but is there room for a Lost video game, an Alias video game, and kind of bring back some of those Bad Robot produced type things and add in that content as a way to kind of continue the story in another medium?
I think you're right. I think the Lost video game will be an amazing storytelling, and at the end, it literally just slows down and stops working and crashes like the series.
Oh, could you imagine if that was planned? Your buttons stop clicking, and your HUD stops working and you can't swap weapons, and all of a sudden it just freezes.
Yes, it just glitches.
And then the Bad Robot logo comes up, and like the game closes. That would be glorious.
Yes,
but anyway,
no, good stuff. That does seem like something we're gonna have to keep an eye on. And I was doing a little perusing, and I couldn't find any existing.
Yeah, no, I couldn't either.
Yeah. Interesting.
But $40 million is a significant amount for getting stuff kind of up and running, and that's not the only money they have in there. So
that's like 5 trips to on Virgin Air. That's
there you go.
A lot of money. That's
a monthly package with Branson.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take the one-way ticket, please. Yes. But no, that is cool. Logan, what else is going on in, let's say, movies?
In movies. So this was one of the movies that I kind of caught. It's a Netflix and it's a movie from China called The Wandering Earth. And it was, I forget when it came out, maybe a year or two ago. It was either right at the beginning or right before the pandemic. It was, I think the story lacked a little bit, but the visuals were stunning. The action was fantastic. The concept was really worth exploring. Very, not similar in plot, but similar in the kind of appreciative experience watching the movie that Space Sweepers was, the Korean space movie that came out a little while ago. This being just a Chinese media driven one. Really good, really interesting kind of, just technology and premise and thought, huge engines kind of moving the Earth away from, as kind of their space station. And then apparently, they just, they got the green lit, and only in China after being approved by the censors. The script for Wandering Earth 2 is ready to go. A little, not sure whether it's going to be a prequel or a sequel. But either way, I think with as beautiful and as rich as the first one was, any kind of enhancement to that universe is definitely welcome, and I will certainly set up a watch party on Scener to watch it when it gets released.
We need a bell so we can just start hitting it every time.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Now you said sequel. So is this a sequel to earlier?
So The Wandering Earth came out already. It should be still on Netflix.
Okay.
That was good. It was definitely worth watching. It was an interesting, watching essentially a Chinese nationalistic view take on, the end of the world, and those things are always so much fun because, being in America, we tend to see the Independence Days, the, America leading the world kinds of things, and watching other countries' takes, other perspective takes always helps kind of, see things from a different light. Not only your own country, but, we portray in American media, European countries one way, Asian countries one way, South American countries, Russia one way, all that kind of our own American view. And then to see the views from, from China and how they view out this way, and a European movie kind of viewing the rest of the world. Like it's fun to see the way those perspectives come out. And again, this was a beautiful, beautiful movie. Well, the specs were fantastic. Again, story maybe a hair weak, but worth sitting down and watching.
I remember you recommended Space Sweepers.
I did recommend Space Sweepers. Yeah,
I was, and when I saw this in our scheduling tonight, it reminded me of that, and I was like,
exactly, yeah. Good sci-fi is good sci-fi, no matter who makes it. There you go. And I am happy to watch it, whoever makes it.
Absolutely. No. This it's on the list.
Mm-hmm.
It is on the list. Okay, now. There's something else that I'm actually really excited about that you had brought up. I will let you go ahead and tell us about the Continental.
The Continental. So the John Wick universe that is just taken off. I mean, you can't not love Keanu Reeves. Like, whether it's the work he does can be, he knows what he's good at. He certainly gets all into it. Some of the training and just the work he puts into the character. In this case, watching him kind of live on some gun ranges and some training stuff, like, he can do all of that. He does all of that, the martial arts, everything. It's just the work he puts in and the kind of, again, maybe it's a great publicist, or maybe it's just who he is. Either way, it's all we can see, from the outside, but just the wonderful persona and person that he, seems to be. Like, anything he does is great. This one in particular, though, the Continental, is going to be a limited type series. It looks like 3 90-minute specials, but with a much bigger budget than you would normally have for that kind of 90-minute, TV cable kind of a special. Looking at the creation of the Continental when it started back in, I think they said the 70s, something like that. Or 40 years before the events of John Wick. So I'm actually really interested to see who they cast as a young Ian McShane.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. If they're going to focus on, because he ran the Continental.
He ran it and has run it the whole time. So who are they going to pick? Like, who can play him as an actor younger?
Tom Hiddleston.
Huh.
That's the only British guy that came to mind. Let's do some fan casting. Okay.
That's a rough.
See, Ian McShane. It was him and the other British guy that were kind of like these barrel-chested, burly, swarthy types from. Because I remember,
I would need to see a picture of him in his 20s. I think that would help me figure out, who they could kind of, cast now, or if that person is a known person or not. But I assume he had a longer acting career than just recently, but I can't picture him 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Right. The only time that my first time seeing Ian McShane was in Deadwood.
Yeah, Deadwood. That was exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was, probably in his late 40s, early 50s then. And again, great role.
Yeah, show me him in his 20s. Like,
we got to do a Deadwood watch along as well. Yeah, because I mean,
go look at the cover for Disraeli, Disraeli. It's one of his. I don't know how old this is. I'm going to have to look it up. 1978.
1978, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Disraeli.
He still looks like he could be like. He looks like he could be in his late 20s, 30s, or he could be 40 in that picture.
He could. That's ridiculous.
He's just always looked old.
But even that, though, that's helpful because he doesn't have the years in his face that he has, now. So that's interesting.
You know who else has
that? Think on that one.
You know who else has that perpetually old face, but it doesn't get older? What's his name from Breaking Bad? Cranston.
Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, because I see him in old episodes of Breaking Bad, and I also see him in Malcolm in the Middle. Same guy. Because he always has like those deep lines.
How many years did Patrick Stewart not age? Come on,
he was good all up until the final stages of X-Men. Because that's he started
Logan. He showed his age in Logan, but at the same time, camera and makeup and the plot needed him to, so that was certainly accentuated too.
Yeah, no, they leaned into his age on that one. I mean, giving him like a cloudy eye,
Yeah.
And
look,
some
if you
extra
watch an
liver
episode
spots.
of Star Trek: The Next Generation and then watch Star Trek Picard season 1, you can see a difference in his movements, in his flexibility, and his agility. You can pick that up, but still images. It's still a little difficult to. Did you age? Are you a vampire? Like, what's going on here?
Well, what's funny is he actually looks older in Dune.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that was how many years before Star Trek? Almost
because
10, 15, 20?
Right, because he didn't shave his head completely bald. He had
exactly
coiffed hair on the side. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah,
I was just looking for more images of Ian McShane just to try to compare. But I actually think Julian might be right that Tom Hiddleston could play a younger Ian McShane.
I would love to see him establish the Continental. Could you imagine bringing Tom Hiddleston into that universe?
See, that is why we have the best show on the internet, because
and then you just connect it because it's one of the branches of the
it's a Loki variant.
Yeah, he's a Loki variant.
There you go.
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense. An assassin. I mean, there you go.
So
all the mirrors in John Wick 3 and all the illusions and stuff, trickster type stuff, evading. Oh yeah, that's totally a Loki. There you go.
Exactly. Manipulating the situation. Yeah.
All right. So John Wick is now in the Marvel universe. Fantastic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which studio owns John Wick?
Is it Universal? I forget.
You can thank us later. Universal.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You can send the check to Binge Theory, on our Facebook. Yeah. Just send us the Bitcoin. Definitely looking forward to the Continental. And you know what? Speaking, we're going on a theme here, because speaking of prequels, there is another prequel that you have on your list, Logan.
Oh, there it is. And this one has some interesting parts to it. So this is what are they calling it now?
The many Saints of New York.
The Many Saints of Newark. Yes. So this prequel is a prequel to Sopranos.
I was right. I called it.
Yes. And
I didn't look at the sheet. I saw the cast and I was like,
oh yeah,
it's like it could be straight out of Sopranos.
It is totally. I mean, and the fact that they've got James Gandolfini's son, Michael, actually taking on his father's role as younger Tony Soprano. Like, I can't imagine the emotional toll, let alone just the sheer brilliance and perfection of the casting, and without getting too religious, the purity of that Sopranos image, that it's still Gandolfini playing Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
Is that John Bernthal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, John Bernthal. Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah, John Bernthal's a good egg. He's a local boy, from the DC area.
Is he?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's from DC. Dave Grohl is from DC. Jim Morrison.
I know Dave Grohl is from around here.
Henry Rollins is from DC. All the people that have talent are from DC. Everybody else sucks. So there you go.
Yeah, well, and being from New Jersey, I certainly have my own affinity for The Sopranos and the story that it was adapting.
Born and raised in New Jersey?
I was.
Yes.
Where's your typecasted accent?
I've been away a while. Let's just say that. But
Does it come out when you go visit?
It comes out in certain words.
Yeah.
It comes out definitely more when I visit and I'm around, some of my friends from, middle school and high school and stuff. And, more when I spend time with friends in Newark or in some of the more urban areas. But, I've always had an affinity for The Sopranos and just that, the fact that I could watch the show and be like, oh, I drove past where they filmed the other week. Like, and I know the areas, and it's just a very familiar portrayal for me. Yeah, the fact that they have his son playing him and that his son, so the trailer looks fantastic. Like he's got the mannerisms, he's got the look. He seems from the trailer to have the acting chops to really do it. It puts an interesting spin on, yes, he's doing this now, and okay, it's a movie. Does it turn into a limited series? In 20, 30 years, does it actually turn into him playing a revival of Tony Soprano in a remake?
I could see it. I mean, what I just sent a friend a clip of the original Sopranos, and it still holds up. It's just
it does.
So
and the ending. Oh my goodness, the ending was the most fantastic closure, not closure ending I've ever seen in my life.
I was gonna say that is a controversy to.
It is a controversy. I am fully on the side of it was sheer and utter perfection.
Ray Liotta is also going to be in this new series.
Yeah.
And Vera Farmiga, she's going to be in it. I'm just looking down the cast right now. Corey Stahl.
Here's the thing, and this was the other interesting part of why I kind of brought this up, is that all of the actors in The Sopranos are actors that you wouldn't be surprised to find in The Sopranos. Sure. They're not sitcom actors. They're not comedy actors. They're not, Hallmark movie actors. They are actors that tend to play the more serious, the more drama, the more gritty roles. Right. And one of the interesting things that I found coming across the story was that apparently when this was, I guess, back when Steve Carell was leaving The Office, apparently HBO paid James Gandolfini almost $3 million not to join The Office in order to maintain the image of the Tony Soprano character that was in The Sopranos.
I like it.
I've never heard of such a thing like that.
No, but
to be paid not to take a role in order to remain typecast in a way?
No, I could see that. I can understand that. Like,
I mean, that makes me really question what is the real long-term plan HBO has for Sopranos, because you don't do that if you're not thinking about the next 5, 10, 20 years of this franchise that you own.
Yeah.
And the fact that his son is now playing him in the prequel, all of the actors who are there, like I said, are not actors that you're going to find in a Hallmark movie. Like, there's a significant investment on a scale that I've never really seen revealed before to, us general public viewers, that HBO has about The Sopranos that just is both astonishing and fascinating, and I can't imagine it's the only time something like this has happened, but it's the first time I've ever heard of something like this happening.
I've never heard of that. That kind of like a, what do they call, catch and release, if you will, of acting, where
it's like a non-compete with incentive. Like, it's incredible. It's just incredible.
I think obviously HBO's, they knew that they had something that had legs. And you're right. If Gandolfini not sullied, but started portraying that, the iconic Tony Soprano in rom-coms, or the comedies like,
or tried to reinvent himself, or who knows what,
Yeah, that is interesting. That is an interesting thing for a studio to actually do and say, we're going to pay you just to stay Tony Soprano.
Yep. And apparently he was only getting offered, I think, $4 million to kind of play for The Office. So to get paid 75% of that to not do it.
Yeah. We'll pay you not to work. There you go.
Man alive. Like, it's almost worth, financially worth it to be typecast at that point. Like, just incredible.
What's funny is I saw him in 2 movies before The Sopranos. The first time I ever saw him was in a Quentin Tarantino film called True Romance.
Okay.
And he played the heavy. He played a collector, and not a savory character. Very charming, very charismatic. but very violent and very.
You could do that. You could do that so well. Oh.
Yeah, and the other one was in. It was either Stay Cool or the John Travolta one where he was Chili Palmer.
Be Cool.
Be Cool. Yeah. Be Cool. Yeah. Where he played a collector. He kind of was typecast, as a Italian American that weighed over 300 pounds. Yeah, six whatever. So Tony Soprano was it. That was the magic for me. And really interested to see how they can revitalize this and stick the landing, because I saw a picture. I saw like the trailer with his son. I don't even know if it was a trailer. Wasn't it like
it was? There was a first trailer. Yeah.
Yeah. It just he looks like he's pulling it off. So.
Oh yeah.
Looking forward to that. Speaking of streaming and businesses, you brought up another topic that was
I did.
Yes.
Yeah. And going back to Jeff Bezos, I suppose. Amazon. I don't know that I've heard that it's been finalized. I know it's still in process. But they've been in negotiations to acquire MGM for almost $9 billion, which would make, to my understanding, Amazon one of the first streaming companies to buy a traditional, familiar kind of what would you call MGM? Yeah, studio, basically. To kind of weasel its way out of the whole streaming stigma and be able to release it through a quote unquote, established media brand kind of thing that way.
And they beat out Apple for that.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Well, Apple's been, I've heard a number of rumors back and forth between years that they're going to buy, Sony's distribution house, or they're going to buy MGM, or they're trying to, everybody's been looking at these, streaming platforms have been looking at these to, I don't want to say gain legitimacy, because the quality of the content they're putting out are earning the awards that are creating their legitimacy. Right. But they were trying to buy it to fast track that process. And it's interesting now that, Amazon is still going through with it. Part of it is, the catalog that they might get. Though, to be fair, that catalog has its own rights issues that things like, James Bond and some others are kind of really tied up with, and maybe a bigger headache than Amazon necessarily realizes that they're, obviously they're looking into it, but just more trouble than it may be worth. Because at this point, in 2015, they want to buy a studio as soon as possible, because who's going to take a streaming platform, this seriously? In 2021, I think every streaming platform, more or less beat out nominations for most of the traditional studios because of the significance and quantity and quality of content they're putting out. Sure. So in some ways, they have grown themselves past the need to buy their own studios. So now it just becomes kind of the back catalog content wars that, Netflix and all the others are kind of dealing with at this point in time.
Yeah.
And the fracturing for us as consumers of now having to have, 7, 8, 9, 10 different streaming platforms in order to, satisfy the one kid who wants, Moana, and the other one who wants How to Train Your Dragon, and the other one who wants Tumbleleaf or whatever, and you're left with 10 streaming services in order to watch, these different shows.
Nope. Yeah. I agree. That's kind of the decisions we were making, not long ago. It's like the things that we want to watch. Once you start searching, you realize, like, holy crap, this is only on this platform, and this other show or movie is only on this platform. And it's like, this just doesn't make, I understand it from a business point of view, but like the whole reason that companies started going to this model was because, the customer wanted to cut, wire cut and just get what they wanted, but
3 or 4. Oh yeah,
exclusive is it just now you're paying just as much as you would for regular cable service for all the streaming platforms.
You're absolutely right. 4 or 5 years ago, it was a badge of honor to say, "Oh, I don't get cable. I just do Netflix, or I just do streaming stuff, and it's great." And now I forget what the number is, but I'm paying like $50 or $60 a month for 9 or 8 different streaming services, and it's just a fractured cable package.
Yeah,
that's all it is now.
Yeah, instead of one bill, you got 5.
Right, and it's the same amount that I would have paid if I had gotten cable. So it's like, well, I'm not saving anything anymore.
Yeah. Well, something will happen. There'll be an exodus of some sort, or somebody will come up with a new bundling package that will bundle all of these little ones together.
Well, I mean, Disney kind of did some of that with bundling Hulu and ESPN.
Right.
And then buying Discovery and some of the others and just kind of folding them in.
Yeah. And that's
and I think that's it. Like, and that's actually my fear.
National Geographic, like Disney.
National Geographic, yeah.
They own that.
I mean, that's my fear, is that the way that it's going to quote unquote resolve itself is by that, we're left with 3 absolutely ginormous media companies or something like that, or holding companies, because,
look at telecom, right? Look at cell phone providers and service providers, right? We used to have a lot, and now you pretty much have Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint. There you go.
T-Mobile is Sprint now.
Yeah, Sprint. T-Mobile.
Yeah. T-Mobile all to go. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, they just keep buying. The companies come out.
I think what's worse is when you have these diversified conglomerations that, Amazon isn't a monopoly, but the amount of power that they have because of their diversification effectively gives them the same power in certain categories as if they were a monopoly.
Yep.
Same thing with Unilever, same thing with, General Mills and some of those places, and others. Like, when you start really tracing all of these companies up the chain, you're only down to 6 or 7 or 8 major players here. And that's the only way this can go. And then we're left with, I mean, hell, neither political party right now is, not to get political about this, but, has an appetite for redefining the concept of monopoly and going after these companies. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah,
they're too busy figuring out, how to talk to each other nicely, if they even can. They're not in a place to be able to focus on something like that. But that's what essentially seems like it's happened. They've circumvented the traditional, single category monopoly into a diversified monopoly, and still been able to gather the same power and exert it in now more areas of business.
Excellent point. And Kenny, to go back to your observation on telecoms, remember, prior to the big 3, there was Ma Bell.
Yeah.
And they broke Ma Bell up and they said, oh, this will fix it all. But at the end of the day, like Logan's pointing out, is they found a way around being a monopoly and just saying, well, we're just going to own 60% of everything instead of 100% of everything, and just rule it by de facto just, volume.
Yeah.
And that's the new business model. So that's why we're going to have BT Gaming. We're going to have BT Comics. We're going to have, BT Lingerie. Everything that you need, it's going to have a BT sticker on it. So,
whoa.
Yes. Hey, you know what?
Hey.
I'm looking forward to seeing Logan model some lingerie,
Yes,
that's a whole different level of Patreon subscriber.
Yes.
we are not opening a Binge Theory OnlyFans anytime soon.
I was going to say,
just saying.
man, that is an OnlyFans.
That is an OnlyFans that is not happening.
Yes. Yes. And I'll pretend that I know what OnlyFans is, although I've never.
Yeah, I heard somebody mention it once.
Yeah.
Exactly. What here's what's funny is I've only heard about OnlyFans from like Instagram and stuff, and or Facebook
TikTok.
profiles pop. Yeah. And then I honestly saw a commercial for OnlyFans, but it was for like crafts and actually wholesome, because again it is just a like a personal
another platform. Yeah.
But I guess the original intent was, I'm doing pottery like in Ghost, and you can watch me do pottery on my OnlyFans, and instead of what it's morphed into, which is a whole nother industry,
yes,
as it were. But excellent stuff. Yeah. Amazon's going to the moon, buying the moon, and raining
putting
down
MGM on the moon.
Exactly. It's I'm wondering
SpaceX is going to Mars, so
yeah, that is true. No, it'll be great when all of the planets in the galaxy, or the solar system at least, have been totally branded, and then we can go there and pay taxes and all that wonderful stuff.
Yeah,
excellent. Now Logan's going to be giving us some culture, which we are in dire need of, talking about OnlyFans and Logan in underwear. So let us enjoy this next segment. Logan, please tell us about this.
So we will, I guess, switch gears, if you will. Dear Evan Hansen, so I have a strong, living in New Jersey, going to the city, which is New York, not Philadelphia, by the way. At least where I live, seeing Broadway was just a regular thing that I would go in and do. When Rent was on there, I would literally go see it yearly. It was just a regular thing to go do. Dear Evan Hansen is another one of those Broadway productions that were just, won all the Tonys and kind of got all the kind of acclaim and awards there, and is now being turned into a movie adaptation. It is still starring Ben Platt, which is both good and controversial, I think, because it's playing a high school character, and I think he's almost 30. So trying to reconcile that, it's one of those things where you have to half kind of close your eyes and go, yes, the voice sounds right, and that's all, and that's okay. So there's some issues there, but Ben Platt is still in that kind of Tony-winning role, and it's an interesting story. Follows the Evan Hansen, kind of the lead character, as a kind of a high school student who, a little anxious, a little socially awkward, writes letters to himself. And one of his classmates gets one of those letters, in a typical high school kind of a thing, but then ends up committing suicide and still has that on him, kind of leading everybody left to think that they were very close friends. So being awkward and want to be a part of something, he just plays along with it, and we're left kind of watching the inevitable repercussions and emotional ups and downs and issues of all that kind of play out over time after the other classmate character's suicide. Beautiful music, won Broadway Tonys for a reason. Like, it's a fantastic musical. A hard story, but something worth watching and kind of worth time, and I'm looking forward to this adaptation, because when it comes down to it, like, these movie adaptations are a lot of the ways that you can watch quote unquote Broadway in perpetuity. I can't go see Rent live anymore, but I can still pull up the movie version that has almost all of the original cast, and I can still hear, the voices and the characters, and I can see the story, and I can still, kind of go back there a little bit. And I think the more Broadway musicals that come to this, the better.
No, that's excellent. I'm a fan of Ben Platt. I first discovered him in the series The Politician, and he's very I don't want to say mature, but he has like an old soul kind of about him, even though he looks kind of young, but he looks like a young old man. He looks like a younger version of an older man, whatever that looks like. But I could see him because in the Politician, kind of similar. He starts off in high school and it shows him going into college, so it spans several years, and then he goes off into the world and becomes, spoiler, a politician. And it's an interesting journey within like 3 seasons, maybe it was just 2 seasons, I forget, but it was enjoyable. I am, and he did have definitely singing ability in the Politician. He played in a piano bar and sang.
His talent is I mean, he put out a musical, just a regular, not a musical, but a regular album of songs, I think a year or two ago. Yeah, like he's got a fantastic voice and a great range, and he's fantastic to listen to. Too
talented. I don't like him. No, but it's on the list. Well, and who knows? Maybe we can do a watch party.
Yeah, because I think it's coming out in September 24th. It's coming out through Universal, and I think they have an agreement to be able to show it. I think it's like 17 days after it comes out in theaters, so it should be pretty soon after theatrical release. So we'll have to figure out where we can watch it. But looking forward to it.
Speaking of watch parties, and musicals, we should do a watch party with Hamilton.
Yeah.
That was another great one.
Done. We will do a musical segment.
Yeah.
Maybe every other Monday, musical Mondays. And we'll just kill it.
We'll get through Marvel Mondays first. There's plenty of time for.
Yeah, you got to get through Marvel Mondays first.
Yes.
Musical Mondays.
For those who don't know, we are watching in sequence or in order every Marvel movie every Monday at 5:30. So go to Scener, SCENER.com/binge theory. And add that to your Chrome browser, and then go. You can find our page on Scener. You can see what our scheduling is, and you will join us real time as we are watching all of the MCU. And I mean phase 1, 2, 3, and beyond. And then after we're done with that, we're going to shake off the comic ink. We will go into the music fair and make it musical Mondays. And maybe we'll have an anime Saturday or something. The doors are open. Let us know in the comments below what you think you would like to see with us. Because we're also going to be giving some special watch-alongs and other content, maybe some merchandise and things for our Patreon subscribers. So we'll be posting links to our Patreon account in the near future, because we're still kind of deciding what we want to give you guys to make it worth your while, because we really appreciate your patronage, and we want to make sure that we give you something worthwhile. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. But this is definitely something that'll be on the list of a possible watch party. We got to do Rocky Horror Picture Show as well.
There's so many that we could do that Rocky Horror is one. I would love to do Repo, the Genetic Opera. That's another amazing musical one. You've got Rent, of course. Even sometimes what is it? Once More with Feeling. Even just the Buffy episode. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that was the musical episode, or the musical episode in the recent season of Lucifer, 5B. Or where else was there one? Oh, The Flash. Oh my, they're beautiful.
Yeah, there was one.
Oh, and there is so much musical theater talent on The Flash and those Arrowverse shows. It is just fantastic.
Well, like the first, was it the first or second season of Flash that the Grant Gustin and the guy that played Iris West's father.
Well, he was an original cast member of Rent.
Yeah, but they all, like him and the guy that plays Cisco, like they got together and made like some music videos.
Well, even in Legends of Tomorrow. What's his name? He played the one half of Firestorm. But he literally left Legends to go back to Broadway and theater to do that and he did an amazing performance in character of Edelweiss. That was just beautiful. Like his voice and range, like, there are so many different kind of, musical episodes and movies and aspects thrown in that, there's plenty to watch if that's an interest.
And I think, just to throw some trivia out there, he was also in the Apple series C with Jason Momoa.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. I must have not gotten to the episodes he was in because I started that, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the third act, kind of.
Okay,
he's in that. You'll see him. Interesting character too.
Yeah.
So awesome musicals. We're doing it. Very cool. So now let us move on. Now this is, it is what it is. I mean, when you have too much money and too much power, you do what you want. You crush the little people. And Logan's going to tell us about who's getting crushed these days.
So this is an interesting case. Talking about Marvel, obviously, they have the just amazing track record of movies and films they've been able to manage and put together. And one of the things that's been interesting about the transition that they've made to all of these Disney Plus series is that they've been essentially keeping the same model that they've had, but applying it to this TV area. So in a TV show, you would typically have a showrunner who would kind of make the decisions and have writers and hire directors and a writer's room and all that stuff. But what they've been doing for a lot of these, Disney Plus series is they haven't been having a showrunner. They've been having a director and a head writer, which essentially brings that show running, choice and direction and to some extent prestige and position, essentially rolling back up to Kevin Feige and the Marvel brain trust as a whole. And it's very, very different than the way normal TV would work. And there's been some question and speculation as to what that kind of now that it's been done, what that's going to do for the TV industry as a whole, if it's going to affect kind of that status quo and how shows are made, how shows are directed and run and created, or whether it's actually just as the Writers Guild kind of looks like now, saying it's just a unique case in that Marvel is doing this and it's not really going to be a thing that spreads. But is if Marvel does things this way for all of them, I think part of the question is, will it detract from some of the talent and the capabilities that the people who would fall under the showrunner title would bring to this universe? If it were anybody but Marvel, I might say yes, but I think they really haven't had a fail in the last 11 years.
Once they hit their stride, they've been
who has a track record of 23 successful movies
and
3 series now?
Yeah, and we were just talking about one that
23 successful movies. I'd say the James Bond movies.
That's the only close one, because that's the only movie franchise that has that many to compare to.
Yeah.
And that had some highs and lows all throughout it.
It's
not a consistent winner.
In all honesty, Marvel has had some not so hot movies as well.
But still not as cold as some of those James Bonds.
Yes. Yeah,
You
but
know,
to be fair,
I mean, I
Jim-
might almost say Fast and the Furious too, but then you've got to deal with, Too Fast, Too Furious and Tokyo Drift, which had their own benefits to the franchise as a whole, but can't really be called unabashed successes either.
No.
So,
Let's not bring that franchise into this mix.
yeah, close, but no. So yeah, it's just, if it were anybody other than Marvel, that might be an interesting predicament, but then it also wouldn't work. So you would essentially scare people by failure back into the traditional kind of TV showrunner model. But if you consider that it is Marvel on top of it, like, I could see some showrunners, be willing to be like, call me a director or call me a head writer, or I'll do whatever, like, to go ahead and, get in on this, because just being able to be in on it, even if you're giving up some level of creative control, is probably appealing for some of them. And there are some who are going to totally say no, they should just call Kevin Feige the showrunner for every single series. Probably isn't far from the truth.
Yep.
They don't want to do that for some reason. They don't choose to do it. They want to stick with the model they know, and I think there's certainly precedence there that it's working really really well. But it's just an interesting inside industry kind of discussion and conversation about just how the different positions kind of run TV and run film, and how they overlap or don't, and what change may bring to those mediums.
Yeah, I do think that obviously Marvel caught lightning in a bottle, and they were smart enough. Well, I'll use a different analogy. They got the goose that laid the golden egg, and they were smart enough to not say, "Hey, let's put this goose over here," and then move the goose over here. They said, "Just leave the goose alone. It's laying golden eggs. Don't touch the goose."
Yep.
So that's their strategy, and it's working. I don't think other people had that golden egg, or the goose. So I don't see that.
Universal couldn't do it with their shared kind of monster universe. They never got that off the ground.
The Dark Universe,
which I would argue on paper sounded fantastic.
Yes, yeah, no, but I think, and I hate to say it, but I think Tom Cruise killed that with his ego.
Yeah, well,
because he did the Mummy in a way that was so just pointless, and he had a whole bunch of notes that he kind of took it over.
And Universal tried to do it by pulling in the big names as opposed to pulling good stories.
True.
And that was what Marvel did. Like, yes, Robert Downey Jr. was a known name. No, Tom Hiddleston and what's that?
I was like, they did, but RDJ was, known.
Yes,
but he was at a point.
He was not in a good place.
Let's just say RDJ was infamous. He was not famous.
Yes. At that point, absolutely.
And I liked where you were going, so I apologize for.
No, that's totally fine. But you're absolutely right. And he was known, but he wasn't, certainly not at his peak. I would say he was probably at his low, and it was a very big risk to kind of do that. But there was still some name recognition there at least. But then you go to Thor, and you pull Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston that nobody knew, and was just joking about this Kenneth Branagh movie that what the hell are they doing?
Like Chris Hemsworth's second movie?
I think so.
Because Star Trek was his first.
Something like that, yeah.
Star Trek was his first role.
Oh yeah,
as Kirk's dad.
Father. Yeah. So yeah, they do that, and then I mean, it's not like Chris Evans wasn't a known name, but he had never, Johnny Storm notwithstanding, and whether you actually consider that a breakthrough or not, but he hadn't reached his stride at all.
He had done Johnny Storm. He had done Losers.
Yeah,
I think, and then he had done Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, but even those were recognized bit parts.
Yes,
they were in a lead.
He was in not another.
He did Push. He did Push with Dakota Fanning.
Yeah, but that was That's when he was just dipping his toes into it's what I call the Ryan Reynolds Blade era.
Yep.
Where it was just he had a physique and he fit the makeup, but until he put on Captain America, he was a guy.
And I would fully argue that the bigger risks that Marvel took were casting a Benedict Cumberbatch. We're casting Angelina Jolie. We're casting Selma Hayek. We're casting some of the much later on, obviously. Eternals hasn't come out yet, so obviously much later on. But casting the names in those roles as opposed to, that. And I would argue those are bigger risks than, what they took. Because, you had J. Michael Straczynski on the script for Thor. Between the work he did on Babylon 5, on the Angelina Jolie movie Changeling, on the comics that he had written, both Thor and Silver Surfer and others, his ability to tell and craft a story, depending on, where he was in that process of the script and how much he actually had an effect on it, is just, he's, in my mind, cream of the crop there. So I had faith in that story from that, and Kenneth Branagh always struck me from, believe it or not, the Much Ado About Nothing from the mid-'90s with Keanu Reeves and Denzel Washington. Loved his adaptation of that and how we did that. So between those two, I was, more excited for Thor than I probably should have been, for a Marvel comic hero from Norse mythology.
Where I knew Kenneth Branagh from? Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Okay.
He played a professor in that movie, and he played the character that you just did, you either liked or you didn't like, and so then when I was like watching Thor, I think I was watching the credits and it said, when his name came, I'm like, that's not the same. That can't be the same guy.
Same dude, yeah.
And I was like, wow. And he did a great job.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I really loved that first Thor movie.
I just rewatched that one and Dark World, and while Dark World did better, I kind of liked the first one more. Like there was just, it was just so rich for being an origin story of sorts. It was really just, it was great.
Yep.
And to your point, Logan, and I've said this a dozen times, is Marvel did two things that no other studio was smart enough to figure out. They got somebody to write a good story.
Yep.
Maybe not the best story, but a good story, a competent story.
Yeah.
That follows, the arc that a story's supposed to have and ties into other stories.
It hit all those Joseph Campbell parts. Absolutely.
Exactly. And they got, well, again, like we were saying, Robert Downey Jr., nobody was knocking on his door. He was a name. But I honestly think the only reason that worked, and you talk about lightning in a bottle, he was a person that you could root for who was flawed in personal life.
Well,
and when he was basically, playing a character that was also an alcoholic, who was a womanizer, who had a lot of problems, that was just tailor-made for him because he's charming, he's charismatic, and he was on the cheap. Again, so he got in there very cheap and just nailed it. And him and Favreau's indie film sensibilities, coming from Swingers, they just made it work. And that is, again, a organic way to build an empire where, and you're right, I don't know if going in with big names now is a benefit or a bit of a backslide, but then again, think about it, you can't.
I don't know if it's either. I think it's just a bigger risk.
It is indeed, because there's expectations from these actors that you did not have with Chris Evans.
But there's also viewer expectations.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, is the viewers are expecting Angelina Jolie to wow us, and if they don't put her in a situation that wows us, it's a failure, because she's carrying a lot of historical cinema, and the same with the only one that I say is, what's his name, Nanjiani, in the I mean, he's going to kill it because nobody's seen him in that role, and he can make it his own.
Oh, he's gonna, that's gonna blow. He's gonna be the stealing that show.
Exactly. I think Angelina Jolie is the only mega star.
I would argue Selma Hayek from
She's got history, but it's going to be interesting. It's
going to be very interesting.
And we will review it. And stay tuned. True believers to rip off somebody else's true bingers. Yeah, there. Well, we just branded it. There you go.
True bingers.
Don't sue us. But yes, love the MCU. And again, don't forget out there, Mondays, 5:30, Marvel Mondays, Scener, SCENER.com/binge theory. Go there, watch us chat, watch us talk about the episode we're watching, and join in the chats. Yeah, we're all going to be watching. Yeah, we're all going to be watching it in sync. It's going to be not the band, in synchronization. It's going to be a blast. And I'm sorry, Kenny, what was that? You're about to say something?
I said 5:30 Eastern.
That is correct. Yes, East Coast time. Yeah, geez, the time zones. But again, it's great because we're getting people all across the planet. So yeah, it's going to be. And again, look on the schedule on our Scener page. You will see it. We'll be putting the links in the description below. Anyway, gentlemen, we shook off the cobwebs. We're back.
Yeah.
Yes, and again, we nailed it. Everything was perfect, flawless. So, and again, looking forward to doing another episode. Any last things before we start winding things up? No.
And looking forward to the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kenny's going to be doing some gaming with us, and Logan's going to broaden our minds with musicals and more
lingerie.
More, that's on our other channel. That's Binge Theory After Dark, and I
don't think there's a Patreon tier high enough, but anyway.
I'm sorry. If there's a subscriber up in the $50 a month, I might get a little lace going. Hey, it's for the fans. It's for the fans.
Only for the fans.
Only for the fans, yes. And I'm sure that will not end up on the internet somewhere and ruin my career. Yes. Anyway.
Isn't that there's no such thing as bad publicity,
Yes, yeah, that has not proven to be accurate at all.
Yeah, no.
It's an expression. I don't doubt. I've heard that. I've heard people say that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen a lot of bad publicity.
Oh, I have to.
Yeah, I think I think when that expression was made, it was before the internet and before social outrage. So, because before you'd see a headline and that was it. That was the end of it. So, and now
and it wouldn't even make it out of your local area.
No, exactly. It's but nowadays bad publicity will it's like a tattoo. It just sticks with you, and it's interesting times.
Yeah.
That being said, we're having fun. We're hoping that we're giving you fun out there. We want you to, watch these shows with us. Let us know what shows you want us to watch, because we're always game for indulging in some entertainment, whether it's music, movies, TV, tech, musicals, everything that blows up your skirt, so to speak. Let us know, and we can indulge and have conversations about it. We want you to join in the chat too. So leave comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We want you to take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. And as always, if it's worthwhile, it's worth binging.